So we were in the last section where the knowledge has to be gained. The knowledge has to be gained. Vidya, 20 items of knowledge. Avidya is everything apart from that 20 items of knowledge. What avidya does? Avidya is people have good intentions, they give you a lot of feedbacks, but they don't do anything about it. Basically, three types of work are recommended: karma, karma, vikarma. Karma is good work, vikarma is bad work, but both good and bad work binds. So, intelligent talked third work, that is akarma. That is what is called as devotional service. So, people don't take up to devotional service and keep on telling, okay, like UN people, United Nations people, who are worried about the ecology, and they have tried scientifically, they have tried entomologically, they have tried medically, they have tried always. Whatever different paths are, they have tried everything. But now they are turning to spiritualists and they're coming, approaching all spiritual organizations and telling the leaders, please try to educate people based on your spiritual literatures about how we can save the ecology. So that is a new trend they have brought. So good intentions are not good enough. They want to save the ecology, but all that till the time they don't take up spirituality in the form of bhakti, they can't do anything. Till the time they follow Ishopanishad principle, they practice vidya. That is, they come to the point of at least trying to begin with understanding Krishna. There can't be any reformation. Ill effects of material knowledge. What is the ill effect of material knowledge? Avidya. People are becoming proud. People don't respect their elders and they don't follow celibacy, all the 20 items of knowledge because of that. They're not able to follow any 20 items of knowledge. The next, but they are trying to teach big universities. Popal asked in Boston, when I went to MIT Boston, he saw so many departments with updated machines, with updated mechanisms. He asked, where's the department for knowing the science of difference between the dead body and living body? It was not there. That leads to what? Bodily existence. It makes us animal. Animal, how it does? He is conditioned, conditionings, and cutthroat competition, domination, demarcation, frustration, and false pride. Because man becomes a two-legged animal. So, how to overcome that? To overcome that, we need vidya, and that should be acquired from a dhira. Definition of dhira: who is Brahmabhuta Prasanatmana Kshotashi Kangshati. That is, he is a Uttamadhikari. So Sri Ishwanisad warns us of the faulty type of education, and Bhagavad Gita gives instruction as to the development of real knowledge. That's 20 items of knowledge. This mantra states the instruction of the Vidya must be acquired from a Dhira. Dhira is one who is not disturbed by the material illusion. No one can be undisturbed unless he is perfectly spiritually realized, at which time one neither hankers nor laments for anything. So this is a point when we are seeing vision of Mahabhagavat, uh, seeing everything in relation to the Lord, the people, the things, the events. So this is realization. We may be knowing Krishna as supreme, we might be chanting, we might be actually worshipping Him, but we are not realizing it. We are trying to realize it. We are like unripe mango. Prabhupada speaks in the section of Dhruv Maharaj when Dhruv Maharaj is uh, trying to meditate as far as Narad Muni is not yet got the darshan of Lord. So Prabhupada writes there, now Dhruv Maharaj, if she is strictly following the instruction of Narad Muni, very soon Lord Vishnu is going to appear and bless him with all opulences, material opulences and spiritual opulences. Prabhupada writes there, the bhakti which you are trying to follow in ISKCON, and the Lord is present as Archavikra in ISKCON temple. He tells that the forest is in goodness, the cities are in passion, and the brothels and liquors shops are in ignorance. And my temple, where Arsha is worshipped, is a Vaikuntha. It's not different from spiritual world. So, Dhruv Maharaj, practicing bhakti under Narad guidance on the bank of Yamuna at Madhuvan, he was unripe mango. But by that bhakti devotion service, he eventually became a ripened mango. He became a Mahabharata. Similarly, our practice of devotion service is in the beginning stage, not a Kanishta, but okay, Madhyam Kanishta, Uttam Kanishta, or might be Kanishta Madhyam. But what is being spoken here of Adira is who is a Uttam Bhagavat, who is able to see everything in relation to Krishna and Krishna in everything in Krishna. He realizes that the material body and the mind is acquired by chance through material association with foreign elements. Therefore, he knows. Actually, in last, like Bharat Maharaj, the classic example is Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, Maharaj Bharat, King Bharat, he left everything. He relinquished the whole kingdom. He left the dominion over the whole kingdom, and he just went as if somebody passes stool and then without don't turn back and he just passed the toilet and he just left. Similarly, if I left his whole kingdom, his big kingdom, his relatives, his wealth, without turning back. It's something like it's very nasty. But then when he went, somehow the other he was doing his bathing and offering water to the Lord. Then that time he saw a deer giving a pregnant deer running in fear, a doe, and he gave birth to a doe. The mother died after crossing the river, but the doe was floating in water and coming towards him. Then he thought, I should protect it. Then he took that doe in his hand. But then he got attached to that grown up deer as a son. Further, it's attached to the son. And what is the outcome? What emotions he should have for the Lord, he started having for the deer. Basically, devotees are compassionate. Arjuna was compassionate, he didn't want to fight. But Krishna gave him lesson. No, not fighting, giving up work is not the solution. But acting for my pleasure is the solution. Similarly, Bharat Maharaj, the bhakti degenerated from compassion to material attachment. There are thin line of difference between compassion and material attachment. So the conditional stage, we might become material attached to people whom we follow, whom we preach, but that should not interfere with practice of bhakti. That is what we learn from Bharat Maharaj, this section of trying to protect the deer. What happened? Then he became a deer because he slept and fell down from the mountain, and the deer came and started swelling his head, and came in front of his vision. He got a body of deer. And that time, the next body, when he took up the deer's body, and then throughout that deer's body, he did not eat dry, he did not eat wet grass, did not eat anything which a deer is supposed to do. As soon as he got birth, he left his motherland home and came to the hermitage where he was meditating. And there he just ate dry leaves and just kept. He took the association of devotees because he understood that because of not taking association of devotees, I have been fallen from my advanced stage of bhava. And therefore, then in the next birth, he becomes Jada Bharat. He's a Uttam Bhagavad. And what is his realization? He starts behaving like a Jada. His father starts trying to teach him Gayatri, but he's not able to understand what is Gayatri. He's passing stool and then he's passing while he's throwing water and then passing stool. And therefore, basically, all his relatives, his step brothers, thought him to be like an animal. Therefore, they kept him in forest. They kept him in a farm instead of keeping dolls, instead of keeping making some artificial human communication. They kept himself in the farm to protect the farm from birds and other predators from eating grains. Then what happened? He was taken by all the dacoits, and they were about to offer the human sacrifice to Durga. Durga burst out of her deity, and along with her assistants. So she cut the head of all the dacoits, and all the assistants they drank the blood. So Dhira realizes that material body and mind he has acquired by chance through material association are but foreign elements. Therefore, he simply makes the best use of bad bargain. What Jadabar did, he simply made the best use of bad bargain. He knew, oh, 3 lives back I was Bharat, Maharaj Bharat, then I got attached to deer, and then I became deer, and now I am I got again human birth. So let me not disclose this identity and let me behave like a dumb and deaf so that I don't want to get attached. In Hindi, there is saying, "Doodh ka jala chhasni se करके पीता है." So that is what Bharat Maharaj did. And when he met Raghugana thought him to be like an animal. But then, when time came, Bharat Maharaj, Jada Bharat even delivered Raghugana. Then Raghugana fell down, asked for forgiveness, and took Diksha from him. So this is the meaning. So Raghugana is fortunate to get Jada Bharat as a Dhira, as a special master from whom he can put here. And we're also fortunate that we have got Prabhupada, and he's a preeminent Siksha Guru, he's a founder Acharya, and he's written all the books. And whatever we're discussing, they're just discussing whether as a student, whether as a teacher. The discussion is based on quoting Prabhupada's different, whatever is written in Bhagavatam, the sentences he has written, the golden statements he has made. So Bharat Maharaj understood, Jada Bharat understood this is a bad bargain. I should not achieve this body after coming to the level of Bhava. But let me utilize it completely. Let me just as minimum as possible forget dealing with this world and utilize completely for spiritual gain. So material body and the mind are bad bargains for the spiritual living entity. That is a thing. The living entity has actual functions in the living spiritual world. And the material world is dead. As long as the living spiritual spark manipulates the dead lumps of matter, the dead world appears to be living. Therefore, out of the internal energy, out of the external energy, out of the marginal energy, uh, internal energy is very conscious of Krishna than the marginal energy. And marginal energy, it is more powerful than the material energy. But because it is acting independently of Krishna, then it becomes succumb to the material energy. Therefore, Krishna says, Mama eva upadante maya metam tantate. The living entity is superior to the dull matter, but because of trying to enjoy the dull matter, it has succumbed to the material body. It is Satchit Ananda, but it has got a body which is Asat Achit Nirananda. So Dhiras have come to the understanding these facts by hearing them from their superior authorities and have realized this knowledge by following the regulative principles of Bhakti. So what is the process of learning Vidya from a Dhira? To follow the regulative principles, one must take shelter of one fight special master, Acharyopasana. And then Ado Guru Padashray, that is Nectar of Devotion speaks, and the Vedic Upanishad speaks Acharyo, and Nectar of Devotion also speaks Acharyopasana. The transcendental message and regulative principle come down from the spiritual master to the disciple. Therefore, spiritual master is a higher revelation, disciple is at the lower revelation. Therefore, knowledge always flows from higher level to the lower level. Like the water flows from the tank which is situated at much higher altitude. Then the water comes down from first floor to the ground floor. So that is called as parampara system. Arjuna got an opportunity to hear from Krishna. So that is submissively hearing from Lord Krishna mentioned here. Because the perfect disciple must be like Arjuna, and the spiritual master must be as good as the Lord himself. So how can somebody be as good as Lord himself? Example, Prabhupada. Before Prabhupada, there were so many Gitas, 600 Gitas in the market. But when Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita, he writes in the preface, he writes in the introduction, what is the need for this another Gita? Because all the Gitas speak about their own notions, about people are using Gita just to write so that they become famous and people can nowadays in nowadays world they can get a lot of views, uh, likes. So therefore people use Prabhupada Gita of Krishna to convey their own words. But Prabhupada was a personality, was a pure devotee who just spoke Gita as it is Krishna spoke to Arjuna. So what is Prabhupada's glory? He is Dhira and he has heard from another Dhira in the Parampara exactly, and all the Dhiras they are hearing from Krishna exactly in Parampara. Whatever Krishna has spoken, that is unchanged by the disciplic succession of all the Dhiras. And therefore, this makes the Parampara perfect. And this is the process of learning Vidya. So, what is Prabhupada's glory? Prabhupada's glory was he repeated as it is principally what Krishna spoke in the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna. And therefore, because of that, you could see the whole change that before Prabhupada, so many Gitas written, Bhagavad Gita, and after he wrote, so many became devotees, so many temples opened. It was like a Hare Krishna explosion. And what is the challenge of the modern world? So-called spiritualist, they try to claim to spiritualist, they try to claim gurus with some charisma, and then they try to attract disciple, and then they think this is the way, whether it is art of dying or art of living or this or that, cannot be an instructive leader. Modern politicians who pose themselves as Dhiras are actually Dhiras, and one cannot expect perfect knowledge from them. They're simply busy seeing to their own remuneration in dollars and cents, how they can lead the mass of the people to the right path of self-realization. Thus, one must submissively hear from a Dhira in order to attain actual education. So here we can conclude mantra 10. Now we start with mantra 11. So let's start with mantra 11. Vidyam cha vidyayam cha yastadvedo vayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyayamritam ashnute. Vidyayam cha vidyayam cha yastadvedo vayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyayamritam ashnute. Vidyayam cha vidyayam cha yastadvedo vayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyayamritam ashnute. Any three devotees can recite.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. विद्ययां च यस्ताद्वेदो भयं सः अविद्यया मृत्युं त्रीत्वा विद्ययामृताम् आश्नुते.
विद्यां च यस्तद्वेदो भयं सः अविद्याय मृत्युं तीर्त्वा विद्यायामृतम् अश्नुते.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Vidyam cha vidyam cha yastat vidodbhayam saha avidyaya mrutyam tritva vidyayam mratam ashnute. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Vidyayam cha vidyayam cha. Second line, yastad vedo vayam saha avidyayam mrityum tirtva vidyayam amrutam ashnute. So in mantra 9, avidya is material knowledge, and so-called vidya, misguided vidya, is that which is explored by those kind of transcendentalists who offend Krishna and who don't accept the Parampara system. They are also called transcendentalists for name only, because their destination is not transcendental, it is hellish. And mantra 10 speaks about the mantra 9, both the avidya and so-called vidya, misguided vidya, as avidya. And here there are two vidyas, vidyayam cha avidyayam. So this text 11, vidya and avidya, is categorized in mantra 10 as vidya. Because when here vidya is being referred, it is referring to Krishna conscious practice, chanting Hare Krishna, Navida Bhakti, ninefold process Bhakti. And avidyayam is referred to the counseling which is done by the mentor to their counselees to how to navigate in this material world and balance their material side so that they can take up Krishna consciousness. So most of the counseling happens on what? Counseling doesn't happen on chant Hare Krishna and read Bhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita. Most of the time when classes happen, the question comes is not based on Vidya. Very few times it is based on Vidya, but most of the time it's about impersonalism, Mayavadi, or how to balance life, how to practice Bhakti, how to take care of material things, all those things. So that kind of uh, inquisitiveness, which is also equally very important, because that one becomes clear that okay, how to stay in this world, then you can think of how to go from this world, how to live from this world. So vidya is about how to live from this world, and avidya is about how to stay in this world untouched by matter. So Prabhupada translates it as vidyam, knowledge in fact, cha, and avidya, science. Cha and ya, a person, who tat, that, Veda knows, Ubhayam, both. Sa simultaneously, avidya by the culture of nescience, mrityum, repeated death, tirtva, transcending, vidyaya by the culture of knowledge, amritam, deathlessness, ashnute, enjoys. So one should not confuse this avidya as materialistic blind knowledge or impersonalism or something like that. This knowledge is pertaining to body. Materialism in Mayavadi, this is like a disease. But the disease condition, when we get disease, then we go to doctor. So what doctor does when we are in the hospital or taking medicine? That art of taking medicine in the hospital and bringing the fever from 108, 107 to normal, no, whatever, 105, 106 to the normal 98.5, whatever it is called as avidya. But after coming to 97.5, a person starts working, he starts sleeping on time, eating all the diets, because when he is having fever, he is restricted from diet. He's given some medicine, patya, and yama, niyama, everything has to follow. But after coming from the hospital and is cured, then in normal condition, he can go and work, he can take anything, uh, and he can be happy. He can sometimes do so, he can go for jogging, he can do yoga, and everything. That is positive side of healthiness. So, similar, this Vidya here refers to the positive side of a soul engaging Krishna consciousness. And the Avidya refers to the recovery of the soul from the disease of materialism and impersonalism and coming to the neutral stage of beginning to practice Krishna consciousness. That now is called as Avidya. Like the recovery from the disease. The disease condition is lording or mentality. So recovering from that is Avidya. How I should regulate that? Regulate, and come to the platform. I'm not the doer. I'm servant. I'm servant. That regulation also is continuing. Like we are also eating prasad, we are also sleeping, we are also working, but we are regulating by offering that food to Krishna. We are regulating the work by offering the fruits of that work to Krishna. So that regulation is called as avidya, and the positive side of engaging in bhakti in the form of navita bhakti, that is called as vidya. Okay. So one who learns the process of nescience and that of transcendence knowledge side by side. Therefore, regulation also should come and bhakti also should be practiced parallelly. And therefore, when we do that, then what happens? By regulation, we come out of the bodily concept of life, and by engaging Krishna service, we become attached to Krishna, and we get a spiritual body. We enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So Prabhupada starts the purport with immortality is impossible materially, and he gives the example of Hiranyakashipu. And what all Hiranyakashipu? Because one-sided attempt, Hiranyakashipu was trying on the material platform to become immortal. So materially, just by regulating yourself as a grasta, as a brahmachari, as a vanaprastha, as a sannyasi, we can't go back to Godhead. But along with that, we have to practice bhakti. But Hiranyakashipu did a lot of tapasya like a tapasvi, more than a sannyasi. But he had no devotion. Therefore, could not get immortality. Therefore, one-sided material attempt is not possible. And one cannot get liberation or one cannot get immortality. So Prabhupada goes on to explain many things of Hiranyakashipu, what all things he did, how he tricked Brahma, and what is the definition of Hiranyakashipu. Prabhupada concludes futility of one-sided attempts in being immortal. Just by avidya, just by knowing to navigate this world, just by how to deal with this world, we can't get out of this world. Maximum to the coming of varnashram, we can't get out of this world. That can help us to engage our psychophysical nature. But to get out of the world, we have to take Krishna's shelter. Because Harim Vinana Prityum Taranti. It's only Lord Hari who can pick up from this material world and take us to spiritual world. So immortality is possible by following Krishna's teachings. Krishna, what he does? Maya Mukti Jive. So Krishna comes as his, scriptures for removing the disease of the Jivatma of Maya Mukta Jiva. Naisvata Krishna Nyan. Jive Kripai Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. So that is what Prabhupada says in this paragraph. So Lord comes as Vedas, Lord comes, descends as Avtara, he descends spiritual master from outside, Antaryami from inside. So Lord of his causeless mercy sends his devotees and appears himself to reclaim the jivas. So he comes as Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam, he gives them a message, and then he sends his devotees who can practice and preach. So the next one is sense gratification binds us to mortality. So restrict it. Therefore, regulation. That is what I'm telling. This is the regulation part, avidya part. It is regulated in the form of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So Prabhupada speaks about this example of disease. The body 105 to 107 degrees, but should reduce to temperature 98.6. Prabhupada is giving that analogy. So I'm not speaking from my own mind. So whatever Prabhupada is purport I'm trying to speak. Therefore, here wants dangerous path of going to hell, one-sided attempt. So therefore, we should try regulation by following our psychophysical nature, varnashram, situating grahastha ashram, follow the grahastha ashram duties, but don't forget to practice bhakti. Brahmachari as vanaprastha sannyasi, follow the duties, but don't forget to practice bhakti. So this is one part of avidya. And then the next part Prabhupada says Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Samrit Sindhu, Bhagavad Gita give the positive knowledge of Vidya. And what is that Vidya? Tasmadeke namanasa Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati Shottavekritasya Deyasya Pujasya Nityada. So one point at attention should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the Supreme Person of Godhead as a protector of the devotees. So the next paragraph Prabhupada says, unless dharma, artha, kama is not aimed to attainment of bhakti, they are all simply different form of nescience. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha is avidya, and bhakti is avidya, and dharma, artha, kama, moksha comes from varnashram. So varnashram following our varna and ashram properly without bhakti, it is like only material. We can't get out and achieve Lord Krishna. So devotees can volunteer to read one by one. There are two parts. Avidya mrityum tirtva. So avidya you can't become amritam ashnute. That is the first part. And avidya can do mrityum tirtva. You can regulate, restrict it, and then you should have to practice vidyayam amritam ashnute. These are three parts. Yes, devotees in turn can read one heading, and then we will discuss more. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Immortality is impossible materially. 1. Jiva's thirst for eternal life cannot be quenched by advancement of material knowledge. Since the creation of the material world, everyone has been trying to attain a permanent life. But the laws of nature are so cruel that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. No one wants to die, nor does anyone want to become old or diseased. The law of nature, however, does not allow anyone immunity from old age, disease, or death. Nor has the advancement of material knowledge solved these problems. Material science can discover the nuclear bomb to accelerate the process of death, but it cannot discover anything that can protect man from the cruel hands of old age, disease, and death. Hare Krishna.
This is very clear to us. We don't want to die, that for permanent life. But the laws which are so cruel that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. So this is what. And Prabhupada gives example of Hiranyakashipu. Yes, some other devotees can read.
Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam. Hiranyakashipu's futile attempt to become immortal by his material equations and the strength of his nescience. From the Puranas, we learn of the activity of Hiranyakashipu, a king who was very much advanced materially, wanting to conquer death by his material acquisitions and the strength of his nescience. He underwent a type of meditation so serve that the inhabitant of all the planetary systems became disturbed by his mystic powers. He forced the creator of the universe, the demigod Brahma, to come down to him. He then asked Brahma for the benediction of becoming Amara, by which one does not die. Brahma said that he could not award the benediction because even he, the material creator who rules all planets, is not Amara, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.17. Brahma lives a long time, but that does not mean he is immoral. Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means soft bed. This cunning gentleman Hiranyakashipu was interested in these two things, money and woman, and he wanted to enjoy them by becoming immoral. He asked from Brahma many benedictions in hopes of indirectly fulfilling his desire to become immoral. Since Brahma told him that he could not grant the gift of immorality, Hiranyakashipu requested that he not be killed by any man, animal, god, or any other living being within 8,40,000 8,440,000 species. He also asked that he not die on land, in the air or a water, or by any weapon. In this way, Hiranyakashipu foolishly thought these guarantees would save him from death. Ultimately, however, although Brahma granted him all these benedictions, he was killed by the personality of a godhead in the form of Narasimha, the Lord, half lion, half man incarnation, and no weapon was used to kill him, for he was killed by the Lord's nail, nor was he killed on the land, in the air, or in the water. For he was killed on the lap of the wonderful living being, Narasimha, who was beyond his conception. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that was enough. May I read?
Yes, yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Futility of one-sided attempts in becoming immortal. The whole point here is that even Hiranyakashipu, the most powerful of materialists, could not become deathless by his various plans. What then can be accomplished by the tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, whose plans are thwarted from moment to moment? Sri Ishopanishad instructs us not to make one-sided attempts to win the struggle for existence. Everyone is struggling hard for existence. But the laws of material nature are so hard and fast that they do not allow anyone to surpass them. In order to attain a permanent life, one must be prepared to go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Even
Yes, so now this completes the first part. Avidyam Amrutam Ashnute is not possible, but Vidyayam Amrutam Ashnute. So immortality is possible only by following Krishna. Prabhupada writes, this cunning gentleman, Hiranyakashipu, and all of us are trying, all the material present world people are trying to expert, they're like tiny Hiranyakashipus. Yes. Someone can read the next part.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go
Can I
ahead,
read Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. Brahmarama Mataji, you read, and after that, Karuna Radhika Mataji can read. Anybody has any questions?
Okay.
No questions, right? No. Please read.
Immortality is possible only by following Krishna's teachings. Maya Mugdha Jivera Nahi Swataha Krishna Jnana Jivera Kripaya Kaila Krishna Veda Purana CC Majhalila 122. The process by which one goes back to Godhead is a different branch of knowledge, and it has to be learned from revealed Vedic scriptures such as the Upanishad, Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. To become happy in this life and attain a permanent blissful life, after leaving this material body, one must study this sacred literature and obtain transcendental knowledge. The conditioned living being has forgotten his eternal relationship with God and has mistakenly accepted the temporary place of his birth as all in all. The Lord has kindly delivered the above mentioned scriptures in India and other scriptures in other countries to remind the forgetful human being that his home is not here in this material world. The living being is a spiritual entity and he can be happy only by returning to his spiritual home. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Next.
Can I continue, Prabhuji?
I think Karuna Radhika Mataji wanted to read.
Okay, Prabhu.
Mataji, you want to read or somebody else should read?
You're mute on Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I was muted. Sorry, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Lord, out of his causeless mercy, sends his devotees and appears himself to reclaim the jivas. From his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work. Since all living beings are his beloved sons, his parts and parcels, God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. The miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Intelligent living entities generally take note of these reminders and engage themselves in the culture of Vidya or transcendental knowledge. Human life is the best opportunity for the culture of spiritual knowledge, and a human being who does not take advantage of this opportunity is called Naradama, the lowest of human beings. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. So Krishna himself appears in the form of Vedic literature. So at the time of initiation, Lord is the witness, and scriptures are there, devotees are there, and Guru is there. So Guru is like Guru becomes like a father, and the scriptures are like the mother, and all Vaishnavas are like the relatives. And therefore, here also it's told Lord appears like Srimad Bhagavata Bhagavatam, and then he personally sends his devotees, or he personally descends when time comes, personally comes. Therefore, human life is the best opportunity for cultural spiritual knowledge, and one should take advantage. And who doesn't take advantage is called Naradama, the lowest of human. Okay. Yes, someone can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Sense
Yes,
gratification.
Yes, Padma Machi, please read, and then after that, next paragraph, Minu Jain Mataji can read.
Sense gratification binds us to mortality, so restrict it. The path of avidya, or advancement of material knowledge for sense gratification, is the path of repeated birth and death. As he exists spiritually, the living entity has no birth or death. Birth and death apply to the outward covering of the spiritual soul, the body. Death is compared to the taking off, and birth to the putting on of outward garments. Foolish human beings who are grossly absorbed in the culture of avidya, Nishant, do not mind this cruel process. Enamored with the beauty of illusory energy, they undergo the same miseries repeatedly and do not learn any lessons from the laws of nature. Therefore, the culture of Vidya, or transcendental knowledge, is essential for the human being. Sense enjoyment in the diseased material condition must be restricted as far as possible. Unrestricted sense enjoyment in this bodily condition is the path of ignorance and death. The living entities are not without spiritual senses. Every living being in his original spiritual form has all the senses, which are now materially manifested, being covered by the material body and mind. The activities of the material senses are perverted reflections of the activity of the original spiritual senses. In his diseased condition, the spirit soul engages in material activities under the material covering. Real sense enjoyment is possible only when the disease of the materialism is removed. In our pure spiritual form, free from all material contamination, real enjoyment of the senses is possible. A patient must regain his health before he can truly enjoy sense pleasure again. Thus, the aim of human life should not be to enjoy perverted sense enjoyment, but to cure the material disease. Aggravation of the material disease is no sign of knowledge, but a sign of avidya, ignorance. For good health, a person should not increase his fever from 105 degrees to 107 degrees, but should reduce his temperature to the normal 98.6. That should be the aim of human life. The modern trend of material civilization is to increase the temperature of the feverish material condition, which has reached the point of 107 degrees in the form of atomic energy. Meanwhile, the foolish politicians are crying that at any moment the world may go to hell. That is the result of the advancement of material knowledge and the neglect of the most important part of life, the culture of spiritual knowledge. Sri Ishopanishad herein warns that we must not follow this dangerous path leading to death. On the contrary, we must develop the culture of spiritual knowledge so that we may become completely free from cruel hands of death. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada makes many golden points here. Aggravation of the material disease is no sign of knowledge, but a sign of avidya. Example, many times when small children, they become sick, their children keep on playing cricket, they no, and when they become sick and little bit recovered, again they want to run quickly, but again the disease relapses. So point is, similarly, we are in the material world, and we come to Bhakti and we think, oh, now we become very pure, and then suddenly. So therefore, this disease will go only when we give up this material body and go back to Godhead. Otherwise, till that time, your body, there's always a chance that any moment the disease may relapse. Unless and otherwise, we become very cautious. Like therefore, that is the lesson we learn from Bharat Maharaj, that how to become conscious of Krishna. We remember from, we can learn from Amrish Maharaj. But how to become cautious of Krishna, we should learn from Jada Bharat. That is a lesson. So Dhruv Maharaj, we learn how to become conscious of Krishna. He was one pointed conscious, but also for material ambition. But once he got the darshan, he was lamenting. He was completely purified by the darshan of Lord Vishnu. There was no question of any ambition. There's no question of any material inability in him. So the example being quoted is reducing the bodily temperature. It means, what is this temperature? Kunti Marani prays in her prayer, the decreasing the fear of material disease. So what is that fear? Janma Ishvara Shruti Shubhir. Edamane Dapuman. Naivartyam Idadatum Vai. Tam Akinchana Gocharam. That Akinchana Gocharam is natural condition, that I am servant. And that I'm something, I'm so and so, that pride associated with that, that is called as the disease, lauding or mentality. So Prabhupada is saying here that we must develop the culture of spiritual knowledge so that we can become completely free from the cruel hands of death. What is that spiritual knowledge? I am not great. Krishna is great, and I should take his shelter. So,
Okay. Can I ask a question?
yes.
Roji, just now, like half an hour back, so I came to know that one of my, not close friend, one of my good friends' husband, he passed away. He's just 42 years old, and during his sleep, he left his body. And the first thing what she did is she threw all the God's photo frames out of her house. She's very upset. Husband dying at the age of, leaving his body at the age of 42, and he's a runner. He's a part of Hyderabad runner. He runs every day 10 kilometers, 12 kilometers. And how can I help her in this situation, Prabhuji? I can't say now go and give her spiritual lectures. She'll throw me out of the house for sure. So what could be done? Like, how can I convince her that this is not the mistake of God? It is self karma, whatever we have done. So that comes back us.
Yeah. That is, we should be aware of it. And actually, this is also, we know this theoretically.
Not just she, many people does that. So they blame God.
No, not only she might may not be a devotee, but even when it comes to practicing devotee like all of us, when some uncertainties come in life, we also get this question, why this happened with me? Why Krishna did this with me? Krishna is so hard-hearted. Krishna is so cruel. So her response is natural, because or anyone, the shelter is goes. So somebody should be like Queen Kunti. Then that response of, oh, tears may come, and then she will be like accepting it. Oh, this is I can see Krishna's hand in this. Or Suniti Mata, when Dhruv Maharaj is being chastised by Suruchi, who is a younger wife, and Suniti, who is the elder wife, and Suniti gets to know about what happened with Dhruva, not by Dhruva is telling, Dhruva is only crying, but Suruchi has just blasted, criticized left, right, top, bottom Dhruva, because he was connected to Suniti. She was insecure that he will become king, and my son should become king. But the palace residents narrated all the incidents. And when she heard, she also started crying. But she was a very, very advanced lady, because she tells there that she starts reflecting, I cannot do anything. Can I do anything as a mother? I can't do anything. So then she concludes, this is Daiva Chodita. That means it is our destined, or it is our karma, our Lord is orchestrating it. But they don't just lament. Then she told, she saw something good in Suruchi's advice. What is that good she saw in Suji's advice? That she is directing Dhruva to Vishnu. But she did not see that other things where she is blaspheming Suniti, Dhruva in connection Suniti. But she saw that blasphemy also there is Vishnu related. And therefore she took that part and told Dhruva, no, you should go and do bhakti. So there are advanced ladies who come in Bhagavatam, are advanced devotees who are gents who come in Bhagavatam. But we are not Bhagavatas. So what the way she is responding is natural, and when something happens in our life, we will also respond the same way. But we should not hate ourselves thinking, oh, I'm so bad, I'm doing like this, I'm doubting Krishna. No, it's natural. But what we should do, we should accept it. So there are three things which people say that first is when something happens, a person denies it. And after some time, what happens? He accepts it. And over a period of time, he starts bargaining it. And then next time, he goes into depression. And the last thing, he accepts it from the heart. It's called Dabda. So any living entity goes through this phase. He denies it, denies the reality. So what she's doing is she's denying the reality. Or that my husband has to be next to me. How can he go? He has gone means, oh, God is not there. So she's denying the death of his husband. So with that, she's denying everything of this world. But same lady, if you give her time, if you give her good words, if you just tell, okay, yes, what can you should actually whenever things happen, when somebody goes through such phase, or even if you go through such phase, we are in the condition for devotees, non-devotees, formula is very simple. What they need is warmth. What they need is that okay, there is somebody whom they can uh, uh, they can rely on with good words and with some kind of shelter. So that is a part we can do from our side in the initial stage. And slowly after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, she starts going in anxiety because of that denial. Then she's in anxiety whether to because she has to start living in reality with the world. So, but she is still attached to that. So that creates a tug of war that makes her anxiety. Like Krishna, Arjuna also is standing in front of all the Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, and whether I should kill them, whether I should not kill them, he's denying the reality. You know, I want to go away. I want to go away. But then he starts arguing why I should go away. 4 reasons, 5 reasons. But then that argument is also not worth. Then his throat starts drying. His Gandiva is falling from the hand. So it's like, tremendous anxiety. Karpanya dosho pahato svava prachami swam dharma samudha cheta. So I tell me what is Shreya for me. Then Bruitan me, Sishyastayam Saditam Nam Prapanna. The same thing will happen. Denial, anxiety, and then bargain. We'll start bargaining. Arjuna started bargaining. Okay, giving reasons, 5 reasons. But then he starts accepting. Then they go into depression. Oh, this is a reality. Oh, this actually has happened. Actually, I lost my husband, but I have to go with the reality of this world. And then after some time they'll start accepting. So Krishna, whole Bhagavad Gita first chapter till second chapter of Bhagavad Gita 10th verse, Krishna not speaking at all. Krishna just smiling, giving a smita, he's smiling glance. So that indicates when people go through difficulties, near and dear ones, relatives, friends, we should become like Krishna. So Krishna is the best friend, guide, and philosopher. We should learn from him, from Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, time heals. And what we can give from this side, just be a good friend and just try to cook something and give some prasad, but don't tell that it's prasad. She will not accept. But just tell, okay, this is I cooked, and therefore it's for you. And we give a visit, sit together, talk, whatever it is. She will consult, and it will go on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Then a time will come, then she will tell, and never ever bring this point of karma. Time will come, okay, I want to chant Hare Krishna. Then she will tell, okay, seeing your behavior, then she will tell, okay, because you are giving so much love to me, so much affection to me. I think the Lord is not so bad. Then slowly they will pick up. So therefore, it's action speaks louder than words, and words can create greatest damage than actions. This word destiny, karma, this can strike off the border cases like this to send them to the corner of becoming atheist, wholesale atheist. So as devotees, it is for acceptance. When you want to accept, Kunti is telling this is Krishna's mercy. For devotees is karma not as karma, but it's Krishna's mercy. To purify me so that good karma, bad karma, then again I have to take birth. Therefore, Krishna is giving me bad karma to purify me so that I can go back to gold. Something very good to enjoy, Krishna is giving all my good karma so that I can enjoy and finish it fair. Like Dhruv Maharaj, through his austerities, he burnt off his bad karma. Through luxurious practices, he enjoyed, burnt his good karma. But he was a pure devotee, surely. But to set an example for all of us, he did that. So what we can do is we have to show genuine affection by praying for them. Only thing we can do is pray for them and just behave like a good friend. No philosophy, no discussion, no point of this. Wait, and when time comes, Krishna do the needful.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So the next section is the disease. The disease of 98.6 degrees Celsius has to be balanced. The temperature has to be, it's not that 98.6 degree is a normal temperature. And that has to be maintained. So to maintain that, we have to sleep, we have to get up, we have to offer bhoga to the Lord, we have to take prasad so that the body and soul remains together. That is that is balancing avidya. And then after taking care of the body, to chant Hare Krishna, assist devotees, read books, chant, that is Bhakti is Vidya. So Prabhupada is telling here, the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha teaches us how to make the best use of bad bargain. What is the best use of bad bargain? We have to eat, but regulate eating. We have to sleep, regulate sleep, and wake up in the morning for Krishna's pleasure in Brahmurta and chant your rounds. We have to work, but regulate your work by making your work not workaholic, but work and be holy. So that is this apara dharma side. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, varnashram regulates, it purifies our consciousness by connecting with Krishna. That is what Prabhupada is saying. Someone can read this paragraph.
Prabhuji, can you pull down a little bit?
Oh, heading?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh.
Shall I start reading?
Okay.
Apar Dharma teaches us how to balance material and spiritual side. This doesn't mean that all the activities for the maintenance of the body should be stopped. There is no question of stopping activities, just as there is no question of wiping out one's temperature altogether when trying to recover from a disease. To make the best use of a bad bargain is the appropriate expression. The culture of spiritual knowledge necessitates the help of the body and mind. Therefore, maintenance of the body and mind is required if we are to reach out goal. The normal temperature should be maintained at 98.6 degree, and the great sages and the saints of the India have attempted to do this by a balanced program of spiritual and material knowledge. They never allowed the misuse of human intelligence for disease sense gratification. Human activities diseased by a tendency towards sense gratification has been regulated in the Vedas under the principle of salvation. This system employs religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the salvation. But at the present moment, people have no interest in religion or salvation. They have only one aim in life, sense gratification, and in order to achieve this, and they may make plans for economic development. Misguided men think that religion should be maintained because it contributes to economic development, which is required for sense gratification.
Thus, in order to guarantee further sense gratification after that in heaven, there is some system of religion observance. But this is not the purpose of religion. The path of religion is actually meant for self-realization, and economic development is required just to maintain the body in a sound, healthy condition. A man should lead a healthy life with a sound mind just to realize Vidya, true knowledge, which is aim of human life. This life is not meant for working like an ash or for culturing avidya for sense gratification. Hare Krishna.
Highlighted here, this speaks about this balance. So religion or dharma is meant for Atma Sakshatkar, understanding Krishna. And the work which we do, that is meant for that much by which we can be on ground. We can practice bhakti. We can understand the reality of life. So that is called as maintaining the body in a sound, healthy condition. So because it needs lot of spiritual advancement to be like Dhruva. Prabhupada writes in the purport of Dhruva, why Krishna gave that material benediction to Dhruva. Prabhupada says, he gave that material benediction to Dhruva because he knew Dhruva Maharaj will not misutilize that. Dhruva Maharaj will not forget Krishna because of the opulence. And therefore that material opulence was given to Dhruva Maharaj. But in most of our case, that's not the case. Therefore, what happens is, when opulence is there, the one-pointed devotion to the Lord doesn't arise. Bhog Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Parta Chetasana Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhavana Vidhyate. Therefore, whatever we do, okay, we might be conditioned to some luxuries, conditioned to some comforts. So we have to take up some sort of simple living. Simple living might be different for different ashramas. For brahmacharya ashram, lying on chatai, putting a chatai and lying on it. But for the grahasthas, simple living might not be putting chatai and lying on it. They can sleep on beds, which causes couches, but not going to kitty parties, not trying to wail out their times in some user discussions, but trying to be very focused in terms of, yeah, I can have luxury, in terms of the lavish living, in terms of the structure, but the restrictions of not wasting time, avakta karatvam, has to be there. So different ashramas has different definition of simple living. So for vanaprastha, sannyasi and brahmacharya is different, and for the grahastha it is different. But the principle is same. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So whatever condition, material condition we are in whatever ashrama and whatever varna, but if we are not able to remember Krishna always, and if we are not, if we are remembering Krishna always, and if we are not forgetting Krishna, that is a benchmark that we are approaching the right path. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell here, that religion is meant for self-realization, and economic development is meant for maintaining the body in a sound, healthy condition. And that means we have that much material maintenance by which they remember Krishna, and we don't forget Krishna. And it can be different for different devotees. So how to understand that materially we are becoming, it's going beyond our quota, when the material practice doesn't aid the remembrance of Lord. Ata Pambir Dvasishta Varnashma Vibhagasa. It comes, if we can't hear about Krishna, so then Shama Evahi Kevalam. That is what it is. So therefore, remembrance of Krishna should be the end goal. So that is the meaning of realizing Vidya, true knowledge, which is the aim of human life, is minimum material maintenance, which is different for different varnashrams. And how to understand it? The remembrance is udita. The remembrance is not blocked. The remembrance is increasing, and remembrance of Krishna is increasing more and more. And how bhakti grants mortality. It therefore we have to take shelter of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Samritamrita. That is what we are doing in Bhakti Shastri, to understand this more vividly by understanding it one point of view of Bhakti, my Gyan, by which we can apply it. Right now it is knowledge, but it will become wisdom when we apply it. Yes, some other devotees can read this last section. What is only Vidya can grant mortality.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Fifth one, how Paradharma grants immortality, and one should learn it from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The path of Vidya is most perfectly presented in Srimad Bhagavatam, which directs a human being to utilize his life to inquire into the absolute truth. The absolute truth is realized step by step as Brahman, Paramatma, and finally Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. The absolute truth is realized by the broad-minded man who has attained knowledge and detachment by following the 18 principles of the Bhagavad Gita described in the purport to Mantra 10. The central purpose of these 18 principles is the attainment of transcendental devotional service to the personality of Godhead. Therefore, all classes of men are encouraged to learn the art of devotional service to the Lord. The guaranteed path to the aim of Vidya is described by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which we have presented in English as the nectar of devotion. The culture of Vidya is summarized in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.14 in the following words. Tasmat ekena manasa Bhagavan sattvatam patihi srotavyaha kirtitavyascha jaya pujascha nityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. Unless religion, economic development, and sense gratification aim toward the attainment of devotional service to the Lord, they are simply different forms of nescience, as Sri Ishopanishad indicates in the following mantras. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Read mantra 11. We'll go to mantra 12. So now it becomes so clear by when we refer to some commentaries of some acharyas. So Prabhupada is giving this knowledge, and we also should be able to understand what Prabhupada is trying to tell. So the Vidya and Avidya and Mantra 11 are both Vidya. And Avidya and misguided Vidya are both Avidya. And Mantra 10, it is shown as Vidya when achieves one result, by Avidya when achieves different result. This is how it is. The same thing continues in this Mantra 12, Mantra 13, and Mantra 14. So Avidya and misguided Vidya. So here it is Sambhuti, Asambhuti, and Sambhuti. What is that Sambhuti? Asambhuti. That Asambhuti is Avidya. Avidya is materialistic knowledge. So Asambhuti is the worship of demigods who have a material body. They are not ordinary beings, and they are not spiritual entities like Lord Krishna, but they are in between. They are empowered beings or post holders. They are called Lokapalas, and therefore they also have their birth and they also have their death. Even Lord Brahma also has his death. So all these personalities who have material bodies, but they are empowered because of their desire to Lord. At the same time, they are aligning with the Lord, and therefore they are given that post. But this andam tama praveshanti, ye sambhutim upasate, tato bhuyya yuvate tamo yavu sambhutyam rataha. So andam tama praveshanti, ye asambhutim upasate, tato bhuyya yuvate tamo yavu sambhutyam rataha. Andam tama praveshanti, ye sambhutim upasate, tato bhuyayavate tamo Yavu Sambhutyam Rataha Andam Tamapravishanti Ye Sambhutim Upasate Tato Bhuyayavate Tamo Yavu Sambhutyam Rataha. So somebody can read, someone can repeat this.
Hare Krishna
Read
Prabhuji.
what is in this book.
I will read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, please read.
Andam tavah pravisanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yayu sambhutyam rata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Andam tama pravishyanti ye asambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yayu sambhutim ratah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Andam tava pravishanti ye sambhutim vasate tato bhuya ivato tamo yavu sambhutyagam rata. Hare Krishna.
So Andam Tama Pravishanti. Andam, ignorance, Tamaha, darkness, Pravishanti is enter into A, those who Asambhutim, demigods, Upasate, worship, Tataha, then that. Bhuya, still more, Iva, like that. Te, those. Tamaha, darkness. A, who also, Sambhutyam, in the absolute. Rataha, Rataha, engaged. So those who are engaged in the worship of demigods, asambhutim, enter into the darkest region of ignorance. They stay in the material world, which is dark. It requires sun, moon, and still more so the worshipper of impersonal absolute. And why? Because they deny Krishna, they offend Krishna, they don't go to the demigod planets, but they go to hell. Yes. So how Prabhupada goes to the flow is demigods and impersonal worship. Why it is difficult for people in general to understand Bhagwan and understand the transcendentalists are also even not able to understand Bhagwan, and they are trying to become Mayavadis by denying and offending Krishna. Why? Because even demigods they don't have access to Bhagwan. When great sages, mystics, they cannot understand Krishna because they are trying to understand Krishna. The example of monkey trying to a baby monkey trying to embrace the mother monkey. So the yogis are compared to like that. On their own strength, they are trying to catch. But cat trying to catch kitten in its teeth. So devotees are so dependent on Krishna. The Krishna personally takes Aham sarva pape mukshay sami masucham. Tesam aham samudarta nitya samsara vartmani. So therefore, because of their desire that I will try to understand Krishna, I will try to understand because I have a higher intelligence. We know so much, so we'll try to speculate and try to understand, but they can't. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Nam vidu suragana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adiri devana maharshim cha sarvasa. Not the host of demigods, nor the great sages, know my origin or opulence, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. Because Krishna is the origin of the powers of the dedicated demigods. So Krishna is the origin, and somebody is the origin of some person. That person, without the grace of the origin, cannot understand the origin. Because Krishna is the origin of demigods. So without the grace of Krishna, demigods cannot understand Krishna. But their attempts to understand him is like futile. Like Hiranyakashipu's attempt to become immortal. So, although demigods are endowed with great powers, these powers are limited, and thus it is very difficult for them to know how Krishna himself appears by his own internal potency in the form of a man. So Krishna is untouched by matter. How can an electrical engineer use electricity to cool in the refrigerator, to heat in air conditioner or heat pump, or to produce light through lightning effect? So this kind of inconceivable potency of the Lord, the demigods, they are not able to understand. Therefore, the shloka comes there. Anejadekam mansojaviyo Nayanam Purvam Arshad Taddavato Anyant Aditi Dishtat Matarishva Dadati. So therefore, the demigods, Krishna surpasses all demigods. So demigods, their ability to run at the speed of the mind, but Krishna is beyond the speed of the mind. Krishna surpasses everyone. Therefore, the demigods cannot understand on their own. And Lord Krishna descends, how he can make material into spiritual and spiritual into material. Therefore, when Krishna comes as Vrindavan Krishna, and he is sitting with all the cowherd boys in Gokul, in Vrindavan, and Mother Yashoda has given him strawberry buttermilk, and that is very dear. That is my concoction, might be buttermilk which is flavored, which Krishna likes. But then Madhumangal takes it, snatches it, and he's trying to drink it. And when he's drinking it, he's just swallowing everything. Therefore, when you swallow something, it doesn't go inside. It just stays inside your mouth. Sometimes you want to swallow everything at one point of time. We can only try to sip it, but we don't swallow it. So Madhumangal is trying to sip it because Krishna, before Krishna takes and drinks it, I want to completely complete it because Mother Yashoda, with her pure love, she has cooked for Krishna. So Madhumangal is just filling his mouth with that buttermilk, flavored buttermilk. And Krishna is seeing, he sees here and there and he's seeing it's missing and he's seeing Madhumangal is drinking it. He goes immediately towards Madhumangal, trying to sip it, and his whole cheeks have become blown by that drinking. It's not swallowed. So Krishna just removes the bottle and just claps on Madhumangal's cheeks, and the whole buttermilk from Madhumangal's mouth comes out as a syringe, and Krishna drinks it. Because Krishna is inconceivable, he can do that. We may not be able to do that. Somebody may think, how Krishna does it? Therefore, this is fictitious. No, Krishna can do it because he can use his energy, he can use his feature in the way he wants. This scene was seen by Brahmaji after killing of Agasura. So Agasura was killed, then Brahma was doing his Mangal Arti. Or he's doing his Sandhya Bhog Arti, or this Bhog Arti, Raj Bhog Arti. And suddenly he heard some tumultuous sounds, beating of drums, kettle drums, and because Agasura was killed, because Krishna killed the Agasura, only Rimanveri expands himself because all the coward boys are unconscious. He expands himself and kills Agasura. And the Brahma sees it and he comes down. He sees from the top, from his balcony, oh, there is some festivity celebration. Oh, this small Krishna has killed this Agasura, whom the demigods even can't kill. Let me see, let me find out. So Brahma put Krishna under his scale. Like this Dr. Frog story, he wants to measure the whole ocean to his scale. So Brahma wanted to measure Krishna through his scale, through his intelligence, because Brahma's body is made up of intelligence. And therefore, he brought his scale to measure Krishna. Is he this Krishna? Is he really God? Or is he a Mayavi? Who is he? Bigger than Agasura, that he has come to Vrindavan, the abode of my Lord, to destroy all the Brajvasis. So he wanted to test. Therefore, the moment he came on his Hamsa Vahana, he saw this scene of Krishna splashing Madhumangal's cheek and trying to drink that buttermilk. For Brahma, who is Brahma, the origin of all Brahmanas, forgive me if somebody is from South Indian caste Brahman family. My Lord, so strict. There is letter of the law, but there is no spirit of the law. They do some tantras, mudras, little bit, something comes, then they throw the whole thing. So Brahma does so many, is origin of all the Brahmanas, and by Brahmanas by default are very in goodness. They have to be strict by default, that is in their nature. But Krishna is beyond goodness. Krishna is in transcendence. Therefore, Krishna is dear to Brajavasis because they don't care about what is goodness, what is passion, what is ignorance. They care about pleasing Krishna. So gopis are just concerned about pleasing Krishna. When Brahma sees Krishna drinking that buttermilk, he sees what all kind of achmans I do, how many mudras I do, how many tantras I do, and then I offer it to Shastri Shirsha Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he takes my bhoga. And here he's completely contaminated juta, that is ignorant food, eating. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma might have thought in 10th chapter, in the chapter of 3 modes, that food, or in 17th chapter, 14th chapter, Krishna says, food which is cooked more than 3 hours, eaten by somebody, is a mode of ignorance. So Brahma is thinking, this is mode of ignorance. How can transcendence be under ignorance? So Brahma's 4 heads got short-circuited because of his intelligence. And then he wanted to test Krishna. But what happens? Brahma steals all his friends and keeps inside the den. Inside a cloud. He makes a cloud for it. It's not sound cloud, but a real cloud where he sends them to sleep. And then Brahma sees what Krishna will do. But then Krishna, when Brahma comes back again, Brahma goes off after stealing all the boys. Doesn't come. And Krishna expands himself into all the coward boys. And then all the coward boys exactly more original than the original. And Krishna goes back to the home. And there, Sukadeva Goswami writes that this pastime of Vagasara killing was not narrated in Vrindavan, not glorified by any of the coward boys for 1 year. So Sukadeva Goswami asks, why it was not narrated for 1 year? What was the reason it was not narrated for 1 year? Because all the coward boys who were there, who were they? They were all Krishna. Therefore, Krishna, in order to fulfill all the mother's desire, mother cow's desire, because cow is thinking, when Krishna will drink my milk, and all the mothers are thinking, when Krishna, Mother Yashoda is serving Krishna, when we will be able to serve Krishna the way Mother Yashoda is serving. But when Krishna comes back, every time when Krishna comes with all the coward boys to Vrindavan, the cow's dust is covering his face, and all the mothers are getting attracted to Krishna more than their children. But this one particular 1 year, all the mothers are really attracted to their own children. They are embracing them only. There are many small children who are just crawling, who are just drinking milk. But rather than this, all these mothers are taking these grown-up 7-8 years old children, putting them on the life and feeding their milk. The cows are leaving the newly born 1-2 months old calves, and they're giving 2-3 years old calves their milk. And it took for Balram also around less than 1 year, because that was Balram Jayanti, and Rohini Mata had kept Balram Ji in her home for doing sacrifices, for bathing him, and for giving charity. So Balram had not gone for Agasur Antalila. And therefore, before Brahma was supposed to come 1 year before, Balram saw these elderly gopis are feeding their elder children and neglecting their younger children. These cows are feeding the elderly calves and neglecting the younger ones. And all these covered men who are taking care of the cows, and all these small covered boys who are taking care of the calves. Cows are coming and trying to feed the calves, who is Krishna, and their fathers are coming and trying to embrace them, forgetting that cow is feeding to calf. That time Balramji understands. Oh, he goes to Kana. Kana, क्या चल रहा है? कौन सा खिचड़ी पका रहे हो कृष्ण? That time Krishna says, oh Krishna, oh भैया क्या करूं? ब्रह्मा ने ऐसे किया, क्या करना है? तो करना पड़ा मुझको ऐसा चीज. That means you can understand Krishna can even cover Balramji for so much time. That is Yoga Maya coverage. And then after 1 year, Brahma comes again and is again seeing the same pastime. What is 1 year before? That time it's like, my Lord. Brahma goes back to the cloud where he has kept the covered boys. Brahma comes back again to the place where Krishna is performing pastimes on the bank of Yamuna. Brahma goes that side, comes this side, is thinking whether that is real covered boys or whether these are the real covered boys. Or Krishna, when I go there, Krishna takes all these covered boys and keeps them there. And when I come here, Krishna again brings them from there to here because he has killed Agasur. He's a big Mayavi. So then Brahma understands. I cannot understand Krishna by my tarka, vitarka. Shruti Abhivinnam, Mahajana Yenu Gatasupanta. That time Brahma gives up his intelligence. And in Braj, he comes and he does parikrama of Braj. Then he falls in the dust of Braj, like a Dandavat. Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, like Danda falls. When you leave the stick directly falls. Dhad. So Brahma from his swan Vahana, after understanding this, he falls from that Vahana down on the dust of Braja. Then he understands Chintamani, which he says that Ishvara Param Krishna did prayer. He understands. He realizes that what kind of Chintamani soil the Braja is made up of. And then actual Braj Parikrama starts when he gives up his intelligence. And therefore, nowadays also, when we had gone for Vrindavan Parikrama, when we were walking in Belwan, there are small Brajvasis playing cricket physically. But when we were walking, they are all brahmacharis after the Kartik Yatra chanting, we had gone for Yatra, 2019. Those two boys were standing and telling, Baba, dekhiye niche cheeti chal raha hai. That means when Brahma came, nowadays also when Brajvasis they go for a parikrama, the mother or a grandmother makes it a point. When the child is walking, he's always seeing up here, there, and like a monkey is very fickle. The small children are very fickle. They're seeing here, there, and trying to crush on the ant, trying to crush on the insect, and they're trying to walk. And therefore, the grandmother and mother makes it a point to hit the child every time it crushes some insect. It makes them niche dekh ke chalo, niche dekh ke chalo, niche dekh ke chalo. By the time they're 3, 4, 5 years old, there's such maturity that every time somebody comes from the outside, they tell, Arey, Baba, cheeti hai niche. That is upbringing of that. So therefore, same like a mother and grandmother teach the grown-up child how to do Vrindavan Parikrama. Krishna taught Brahmaji as a mother. He's a mother. Who is mother of Krishna? Oh, Brahma. Like Brahma, all the mother of who is told what is the name of mother or what is the definition of mother. When the in the womb, when the infant is connected by the umbilical cord to that personality is called as mother. Therefore, Brahma is connected by umbilical cord to Krishna, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna is his mother. So Krishna is a mother. The origin of Brahma is trying to, when Brahma did what, he's not stepping on insects, he's not stepping on ants. He has trying to touch Brajavasis. He's trying to hijack them. So Krishna, in his own way, started beating Brahma's head, all 4 heads, by his mystic yoga, by his antaranga potency. Like the grandmother and mother keeps on beating the children, make sure what is there on Braj. Braj, everything is very, very auspicious, very, very spiritual. So Brahma, Krishna, through his pastime Brahma Murila, is also teaching Krishna, is also teaching Brahma that how to do Vrindavan Parikrama. And that time when Brahma falls down on the Vrindavan soil, he starts seeing Vrindavan. He starts seeing Krishna, the origin of everything, Ishvara, Parama, Krishna, Satchitananda. He starts remembering, oh, Ishvara, Param, Krishna, after then landing in Vrindavan. And he's able to see Vrindavan completely from spiritual mindset. His real Vrindavan Parikrama starts there. So therefore, what Prabhupada is trying to tell in the purport here is, one more thing. Chakravarti Path says, Chakravarti Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary, whom did Brahma carry? Those children, those covered boys whom Brahma touched, who were they? Because Krishna's associates are spiritual, how can Krishna's associates be hijacked by Brahma? Brahma cannot touch Krishna's friends because they are under antaranga potency, Brajavasis. So what happened? When Aghasura was killed and Brahma got this doubt and Brahma came in his Hamsa Vahana, Krishna could read Brahma's mind and he replaced all these covered friends, all his covered boys with Maya covered boys. Like Agni, Sita who parented to Agni, the Agni replaced Sita with Maya Sita. So Krishna replaced all the covered boys with Maya covered boys. And that material covered boys, which was created by Krishna's Bahiranga potency, that was kidnapped by Brahma. And those actual original covered boys, they were kept very comfortable by Krishna under the internal potency of himself. And then he produced a new set of god boys, was himself, to please all the Brajvasis. So there were 3 sets of god boys. One, Krishna created out of his Bhairanga Shakti for Brahma to touch. Second, those who are original children of all the Gopas and Gopis. And the third, Krishna himself. So Krishna can do that. He can do anything. That is his inconceivable potency. So now Brahma with all his intelligence cannot understand this. So how we can understand Krishna? So as small tiny jivas, we can understand Krishna. Therefore, definition of the absolute by negation is not complete. Such negative definitions lead one to create a concept of one's own. And thus one imagines the absolute must be formless and without qualities. Such negative qualities are simply the reversals of relative material qualities and therefore also relative. So what is Prabhupada trying to tell is, trying to understand Krishna with his own intelligence, one starts denying the reality. And what he thinks, matter means form means misery. So Lord should be formless and I am also formless and I can merge in the Lord. So by conceiving the absolute in this way, one can at the most reach the impersonal effulgence of the God, known as Brahman. But one cannot further progress to Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Such mental people does not know that absolute person of Godhead is Krishna, that the impersonal Brahman is the glaring effulgence of this transcendental body, or that the Paramatma Supersoul is this all-pervading plenary representation. Nor do they know that Krishna has his eternal form with his transcendental qualities of eternal bliss and knowledge. The dependent demigods and great sages imperfectly consider him to be a powerful demigod. So that is the thing. Amma thought him to be Mayavi or some very powerful person. And they consider the Brahman effulgence to be the absolute truth. They also think like that. Not Brahman, but most of the demigods. Because when demigods go, whenever the demons create problem, demigods go to Shishumara Loka. The Shishumara Loka, there is a Shir Sagara. In the Shir Sagara, inside the ocean of milk, there is a land. And on that land, Shweta Dvipam, that is island, that is Shweta Dvipam, Kshirodaksha Vishnu is sitting on the Ananta Shesha. In Garudaksha, Vishnu is sleeping on the Ananta Shesha. But in Kshirodaksha ocean, he is sitting on the Ananta Shesha. This Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. So there when demigod, even Brahma goes, he can only go to the bank of that ocean. And a sound comes, oh Brahma, I am going to appear in the Edukul. And so you all with all demigods try to appear as relatives and my friends and foster mother and maternal mother, father sides as Vrishnis, as Andhakas. So to kill Kamsa. So that is what it is. Then they get a sound. So they think only they are getting sound. So not seeing Krishna. They don't get to see Krishna demigods. Apart from when the Pruthumara Yajna is happening and Pruthumara does not do 99 and stops at 99, then Vishnu out of attachment to Pruthumara is coming there to the Yajna, then that time Indra gets to see him. So therefore, that is the reason they understand that Krishna to be or God to be impersonal and Brahma effulgence to be everything. But the devotees of Krishna, by the dint of that surrender unto him, in annual devotion can know that he is the absolute person and that everything emanates from him. Such devotees continuously render loving service unto Krishna, the fountainhead of everything. So Krishna, etecham sakalapamsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Indriyari Vakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. So Jiva Goswami gives a commentary. The name of the commentary is Krishna, the fountainhead of all avtaras. So next, Prabhupada speaks about the Sambhutim, the impersonal understanding. It's the darkest stage of ignorance. So Prabhupada comes now to the demigods planet. What are demigods? Why somebody goes to demigods? There are demigods who go to demigods, they go for quick benefits. They are only concerned, they are called as less intelligent because they are attached to sense gratification on the bodily platform. Therefore, they go to demigods. And demigods are in this material world. Therefore, the worshippers also go to the material world. And by the day of end of Brahma's day, all of them get merged into the causal ocean water. Until the beginning of Brahma's day, they stay there. Again, when Brahma begins the day, then they again get revived in the bodily concept of life. So motive behind demigod worship is that Prabhupada says, Bhagavad 7.20-23, it is said that only unintelligent, bewildered persons driven by the strong desire for sense gratification worship the demigods for the temporary relief of the temporary problems. Since the living beings is materially entangled, He has to be relieved from the material bondage entirely to attain permanent relief on the spiritual plane, where there is eternal bliss of life and knowledge exist. Sri Ishopanishad therefore instructs that we should not seek temporary relief of our difficulties by worshipping the dependent demigods, who can bestow only the temporary benefit. Rather, we must worship the absolute person of Godhead, Krishna, who is all attractive and who can bestow upon us the complete freedom from material bondage by taking us back to God. Yes, some devotees can volunteer to read the further purports with headings.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, can I-
Different ways of reaching demigods, planets, and the nature of such planets. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.23 that the worshipper of the demigods can go to the planets of the demigods. The moon worshipper can go to the moon, the sun worshipper to the sun, etc. Modern scientists are now venturing to the moon with the help of the rockets, but this is not really a new attempt. With their advanced consciousness, human beings are naturally inclined to travel in outer space and to reach other planets, either by spaceship, mystic power, or demigods worship. In the Vedic scripture, it is said that one can reach other planets by any one of these three ways. But the most common way is by worshipping the demigod presiding over a particular planet. In this way, one can reach the moon planet, the sun planet, and even Brahmaloka, the topmost planet in the universe. However, all planets in the material universe are temporary residents. Only permanent planets are the Vaikuntha Loka. These are found in the spiritual sky where the personality of Godhead himself predominates. A Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 8.16. Prabhuji, can you pull down? Abrahama Bhuvanlan Loka Punaravritino Arjuna Mam Upetya tu Kunteya Punarjanma na Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attained my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada writes in the purport here, so one can go to different planets by three means. With their advanced consciousness, human beings are naturally inclined to travel in outer space and to reach other planets either by spaceship, by mystic power, or demigod worship. Prabhupada writes three types. But when I was reading blue section, Prabhupada writes about 4 types of ways of reaching upper planet. I'll try to share that. It is 4th canto, 12th chapter, 27th verse. Dhruv Maharaj is ascending. O Immortal One, this unique airplane, Etad Vimana Pravaram Uttama Shloka Maulina Upastapitam Ayushman Adirodum Tam Arhasi. O Immortal One, this unique airplane has been sent by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by the selected prayers Uttama Shloka, who is the chief of all living entities, who are quite worthy to board such a plane. So Vishnu thus Nanda Sunanda are the captains who are trying to navigate this airplane of Vaikuntha Loka. So Dhruv Maharaj is going to be taken to Shishimana Loka where Shiva Vishnu stays. It is also called as pole star. The Vaikuntha airplane does not move by mechanical arrangement. Someone can read this paragraph from here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, yes.
The Vaikuntha airplane does not move by mechanical arrangement. There are 3 processes for moving in outer space. One of the processes is known to the modern scientists. It is called Kapota Vahi. Ka means outer space and Pota means ship. There is a second process also called Kapota Vahi. Kapota means pigeon. One can train pigeons to carry one into outer space. The third process is very subtle. It is called Akasa Patana. This Akasa Patana system is also material. Just as the mind can fly anywhere, one legs without mechanical arrangement, so the Akasapatana airplane can fly at the speed of mind. Beyond this Akasapatana system is the Vaikuntha process, which is completely spiritual. The airplane sent by Lord Vishnu to carry Dhruva Maharaj to Chisumara was a completely spiritual, transcendental airplane. Material scientists can neither see such vehicles nor imagine how they fly in the air. The material scientist has no information about the spiritual sky, although it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Parastasmat tu bhavo nyaha. Bhagavad Gita 8.20.
So, in that purport, Prabhupada is writing, there are three ways to reach the demigod's planet. First is Kha, Pota, Vahi. That means Kha means outer space, Pota means ship. That means by going in spaceship. Second is Kapota Vahi. That means Kapota means pigeon. By training pigeons. And the pigeons will take you to the outer space, the demigod's planet. And that is the reason some people are always trying to play with pigeons and trying to train them. I don't know what they try to do, but Prabhupada writing is the training pigeons. This is second way is through pigeons will take you to the demigod's planet. And third way is mysticism. Prabhupada is mentioning as purpose mysticism. Is this? That's called Akashapatana. And this is very subtle. It's also material, but it is like mind can fly anywhere one likes. Like the Pushpak Viman, just by thinking it can fly. So it's Akashapatana is like that. One likes without mechanical arrangement, not by any spaceship, not by material, but very subtle. So Akashapatana airplane can fly at the speed of mind. So there are three ways. So that is what Prabhupada is giving a hint here. So when we are reading this section of demigod, they go by spaceship. Prabhupada is mentioning here carefully in the yellow, I've highlighted. One can reach other planets by any one of these ways, worshipping the demigod, or by spaceship, or by mysticism. Prabhupada is mentioning here. Venturing to moon, but that's not really a new attempt. And here spaceship, mystic power, or demigod worship. Vision. So Prabhupada is there is one more thing, that is demigod worship, the fourth way. Because those three are different and the demigod worship is the fourth way. Yes. But what's saying? Vaikuntha plane will come for the pure devotees. Hare Krishna. Someone can read the next section.
The Ishopanishad points out that one who worships the demigods and attains to their material planets still remains in the darkest region of the universe. The whole universe is covered by the gigantic material elements. It is just like a coconut covered by a shell and a half filled with water. Since its covering is airtight, the darkness within is dense, and therefore the sun and the moon are required for illumination. Outside the universe is the vast and unlimited Brahmajyoti expansion, which is filled with Vaikuntha Lokas. The biggest and highest planet in the Brahmajyoti is Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavana, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna himself resides. Lord Sri Krishna never leaves Krishna Loka. Although he dwells there with his eternal associates, he is omnipresent throughout the complete material and spiritual cosmic manifestations. This fact has already been explained in Mantra 4. The Lord is present everywhere, just like the sun, yet he is situated in one place, just as the sun is situated in its own undeviating orbit. The problems of life cannot be solved simply by going to the moon planet or to some other planet above or below it. Therefore, Sri Ishopanishad advises us not to bother with any destination within this dark material universe, but to try to get out of it and reach the effulgent kingdom of God. Thank you.
So therefore, worshipping demigods take us to demigods. Worshipping Krishna can take us to Goloka. But what we have to understand, for that you have to come out of this ignorance. What is that ignorance? That Krishna and demigods are one. So tattvam janma karma chamiti tattvam janma karma chamiti vyam evam yoveti tattvata tektva deyam punarjanma naiti mamiti sojana. So when we understand Krishna's birth and activities are divine, Krishna is not a demigod, it's divine, then we become not only divine, spiritual, and the source of everything. Then we become eligible to go to the Krishna Loka. And worshippers of impersonal absolute enter into still more darkest region of ignorance. Yes, some other devotee can read. So demigods are there in the demigod planets, which is temporary. But what about Mayavadis? What happens to them? Prabhupada writes here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Worshipper should I start? Yeah. Worshippers of the impersonal absolute enter into still more darkest region of ignorance. In utter ignorance, the impersonalists support the atheists by stressing the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. There are many pseudo-worshippers who become religionists only for the sake of name and fame. Such pseudo-religionists do not wish to get out of this universe and reach the spiritual sky. They only want to maintain the status quo in the material world under the grab of worshipping the Lord. The atheists and impersonalists lead such foolish pseudo-regionalists into the darkest regions by preaching the cult of atheism. The atheists directly deny the existence of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and impersonalists support the atheists by stressing the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. Thus far, we have not come across any mantra in the Ishopanishad in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is denied. It is said that he can run faster than anyone. Those who are running after other planets are certainly persons. And if the Lord can run faster than all of them, how can he be impersonal? The impersonal conception of the Supreme Lord is another form of ignorance arising from an imperfect conception of the absolute truth.
Yes, so here is one of the point for your open book exam, assessment. In blue, one of the points, one of the 10 marks question out of 100. This can account to 10 marks. Hope you're writing your OBS. So this, wherever such things come, Lord is able to walk, Lord is able to eat, Lord is able to relate with his devotees lovingly. So how he can be impersonal? I was writing the same thing here, that he's able to run and he's able to do. How can he be impersonal? But this people, wherever Prabhupada is mentioning about impersonalism in Ishopanishad, very, very important point all of you should remember, it is referring to Mayavad. Because Brahmavad they don't deny, they don't decry, they don't blaspheme Krishna. Like Sudhya Goswami or Chatush Kumaras or any of the Brahmavadis of second canto, first chapter, second chapter, their Dharanasha is Virata Rupa. So they have nothing to do. Either they are ignorant of Krishna, or they are not. They have nothing to do with Krishna. But here, what Prabhupada is trying to speak about is, if you see the symptoms, pseudo worshippers, religion for name and fame, do not wish to get out of the universe and reach the spiritual sky. No, Brahmavadis, they want to go out. They want to go out, and they are really striving hard, and they have accepted the Dharana Shaya, which is Virata Rupa. But these are referring to so-called self-styled, so-called impersonalistic gurus in the name of Mayavadis, who are worse than atheists. Prabhupada is trying to tell. Atheists anyway want to kill Krishna. This Mayavadis also try to, because they don't know, they tell, how can Krishna be God? How can Ram be God? Ram is punishing his wife. Krishna is dancing with all gopis. Others' wives, how can they be God? So that is the reason they are worse than they're almost like atheists. Atheists, they don't accept. But Mayavadis, they blaspheme Krishna. So therefore, Prabhupada is saying here, how can not be impersonal? This point is very important point for your OBE. So impersonal conception of God is another form of ignorance arising from an imperfect conception of the absolute truth. If someone can read, so what is the further traits of these Mayavadis who are trying to teach, trying to cheat the public, foolish person who is ignorant of the Vedic wisdom?
Hare Krishna, I will read it. How the impersonates cheat the foolish persons who are ignorant of Vedic wisdom. The ignorant religions and the manufacturers of so-called incarnations who directly violate the Vedic injunctions are liable to enter into the darkest region of the universe because they mislead those who follow them. These impersonalists generally pose themselves as incarnations of God to foolish persons who have no knowledge of Vedic wisdom. If such foolish men have any knowledge at all, it is more dangerous in their hands than ignorance itself. Such impersonalists do not even worship the demigods according to the scriptural recommendations. In the scriptures, there are recommendations for worshipping demigods under certain circumstances, but at the same time, these scriptures state that there is normally no need for this. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.23, it is clearly stated that the results derived from the worshipping the demigods are not permanent. Since the entire material universe is impermanent, whatever is achieved within the darkness of material existence is also impermanent. The question is how to obtain real and permanent life. The Lord states that as soon as one reaches Him by devotional service, which is the one and only way to approach the personality of Godhead, one attains complete freedom from the bondage of birth and death. In other words, the path of salvation from the material clutches fully depends on the principles of knowledge and detachment gained from this from serving the Lord. The pseudo-religions have neither knowledge nor detachment from the material affairs. For most of them, want to live in the golden shackles of material bondage under the shadow of philanthropic activities discussed as religious principles. By a false display of religious sentiments, they present a show of devotional service while indulging in all sorts of immortal activities. In this way, they pass as spiritual masters and devotees of God. Such violators of religious principles have no respect for the authoritative acharyas, the holy teachers in the strict discipline section. They ignore the Vedic injunction, Acharyopasana. One must worship the Acharya, and Krishna's ignore the Vedic injunction, Acharyopasana. One must worship the Acharya. And Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Evam Parampara Praptam. This supreme science of God is received through the disciplic section. Instead, to mislead the people in general, they themselves become so-called acharyas, but they do not even follow the principles of the acharyas. Hare Krishna.
These are the descriptions of the Mayavadis who criticize Krishna, who criticize Guru, who become incarnations, who do all immoral activities. And Prabhupada is writing a very nice point here. Golden shackles of material bondage, that means they are in the material concept, but imagining to be spiritualist and trying to serve, build toilets and bathrooms and thinking they are doing, devotional service, selfless service, serving Madhav Seva, Manav Seva, like that. No? They are trying to do Manav Seva is better than Madhav Seva. Therefore, because they don't know Madhava, they don't have trust in Madhava, therefore they descend to serving Manavas, thinking they are Narayanas. Yes, so impersonalists who are envious demons in the garb of religious propagandists shall be thrown into darkest region of hell. These rogues are the most dangerous elements in human society because there is no religious government. So there is censor for there is income tax raid. There is also what kind of site, the purity of the site has to be maintained online. There also there is censor team. There is some movies released. Some people so-called lefties, righties, okay, they also put some censor and tell okay this movie cannot be played here. When it comes to practice of spirituality, there is no government who can catch like Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, this Kali Raj was dressed, Kali was a Shudra but dressed in the form of a king. So similarly, these are Shudras dressed in the guise of spiritualist. But Parikshit Maharaj caught Kali immediately. Although the Dharma was not able to indicate him, but still Parikshit Maharaj understood. So therefore we need administrators who are like Parikshit Maharaj. When they become devotees, then they can censor the spiritual practice. Our so-called pseudo-spiritualists should be put behind jail because they are doing the greatest misfortune. They bring the greatest misfortune to the citizens by preaching so-called philosophy, which deviates them. It's like a worm. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned, Mayavadi Basta Sunile Oye Sarvanash. Therefore, Prabhupada is so angry here. These rogues, most dangerous elements in society, because there is no religion, they are in the form of golden shackle, doing shadow philanthropic activities, and they think they're spiritualist, and they try to initiate and try to hijack a living entity. They're like Ravanas. They cannot hope, however, escape the law of Supreme, who has clearly declared in Bhagavad Gita that envious demons in the garb of religious propagandists shall be thrown to darkest of hell. Like Ravana came to kidnap Mother Sita. So one of the Acharya in Shiva Vaishnavism comments, Sita can be compared to the Jivatma, and that Ravana is compared to disguising as a sadhu. So if Sita is compared to a Jivatma, that Ravana disguising sadhu compares to this kind of Mayavadis who are trying to become spiritualists and trying to hijack the Jivatmas to where Lanka. So therefore, what devotees are supposed to do? They should be like Hanuman, trying to do practice bhakti towards lotus feet of Lord Rama and Krishna so powerfully. And try to read Prabhupada's books and also try to distribute Prabhupada's books and try to create that awareness in the form of preaching in the whole society. Preach to schools, preach to youths, preach to congregation, preach to old people, preach wherever you get opportunity, you should try to preach. Because only we have the substance to preach. Other whole nine, apart from Vaishnava principle, majority of the people have nothing to preach, but they are doing so much. But we have a substance with us, but we are not able to preach. This is our, what to say. Therefore, reading this purpose of Prabhupada, we should, our blood should boil and we should not sit silent. Either we should preach to devotees and we should preach to those who are upcoming devotees and people who are newcomers. We should preach to everyone. Prabhupada says that anyways demons in the garb of religion propaganda should be thrown into darkest region of ignorance. So Sri Ishopanishad confirms that these pseudo-religionists are heading towards the most obnoxious place in the universe after the completion of their spiritual master business, which they conduct simply for sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Upasthit Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we have concluded two slokas today, mantra 10, mantra 11, and mantra 11 and mantra 12, and therefore we'll continue with mantra 13 and mantra 14. So this is Asambhutim and Sambhutim. So who will tell that Ishopanishad is a dry book? If somebody reads Ishopanishad the way Prabhupada wants it, he will be like, wow. After reading Ishopanishad, he will think, let me practice bhakti very solidly, let me preach Krishna consciousness at all levels. Hare Krishna. So we can offer our prayers for the departed soul, so that Krishna gives him higher destination wherever he is. Krishna gives his wife the strength to accept that, and also we get opportunity to serve by praying to the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any questions you can ask, otherwise I'm going to end.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question, Prabhuji? So you said about the minimum material maintenance, Prabhuji, and it is as per the ashram you are in, right? Prabhuji, I know a friend who's not from ISKCON, but they are into Krishna Bhakti.
Pushti Marg.
I don't know, Prabhuji, if it is Pushti Marg, it is from Gorakhpur.
Okay, it is different. Yes.
Yeah. So they do chanting, they do read Bhagavad Gita, and they do Laddu Gopal Seva.
That is Pushti Marg.
Yeah. So and she is a very opulent, from an opulent family, Prabhuji. But their sampradaya or their system makes them do a lot of austerities, like travel in a third-class train bogie without AC, and you know how the crowd is.
Okay, sleeper, traveling as sleeper.
Yeah, yes. And so that their false ego is, they can shed off their false ego, or make the kids in the family do things like clean the dustbins. So the false ego comes down. So they go through a lot of austerities, whereas in ISKCON, we are not made to do all this, in Grasta Ashram at least. And sometimes I think that, like, I am also used to certain kind of living. For example, I'm too much hygiene conscious, and because of the hygiene conscious, I cannot travel in trains. This is a OCD in me, you can say. I cannot, because 1 or 2 hours I can sit, beyond that I cannot. So is that a lot of false ego in me, or I don't know how to put it? And is it okay not
It's
to do all this?
it's a contamination coming from mode of goodness.
Okay.
Like when you go to natural place, people feel oh so nice, so green, so serene, so calm. That is also material.
Hmm.
So cleanliness, saucham, is a divine virtue. So there, for example, of Brahmaji and the Brajvasis. Brahmaji saw the cleanness of Krishna and thought, if you see Krishna doing that and if you don't go Krishna, I think it's like, what will happen to your OCD? You are calling it as OCD. So yeah, surely it's a boundary condition which restricts us. But anyways, those
I mean, if you ask me, I can sleep on the floor. I'm okay to do that. But
on a
somehow,
clean floor, on a clean floor which you mop yourself with your hand.
yes, not on a dirty floor, but I can eat food one time a day. I can do all that austerity. But when it comes to hygiene, I need some standard, Prabhuji. Is it okay?
It is okay till the time you're in your home.
Okay.
Because you have your freedom. So, and when people go in that sleeper class train or in the clean the dustbin, they are trying to transcend from material platform to that platform of their life. They're just surrendering their self to God. They're becoming the instruments. Okay, we are not attached to ignorance. We are not attached to passion, and we are not even attached to goodness, and we are not attached to our own self, because this is life. So this is like people have diverse thought process on it. How it is whatever comes in our thought in the way of serving Krishna, that is like we have to overcome it. But till the time you have facility, till the time you have facility to be clean, till the time you have facility to be to travel not in train and in flight, because of that it's fine. But like Brahmaji had that facility and he was the owner of the whole universe. But when he came across Krishna, he could not appreciate Krishna because of that, the Brahmanical principle. So therefore, when we come across pure devotees, and imagine some very elevated soul comes to your home, and he is not so very clean, what the first thought will come on your mind? So imagine somebody, some very advanced devotee comes to your home, and he just uses bathroom and doesn't wash his legs and just comes out. So we can keep it up to ourselves, and we should not project this kind of cleanliness standards on others. So bhakti is beyond clean. Also, Prabhupada said cleanliness is godliness. That means external cleanliness as well, internal cleanliness. External cleanliness is keeping, I'm telling something, cleaning, keeping our hands clean, legs clean, the body clean, so that it remains free from germs, and surroundings clean, so that our health is taken care. But that external cleanliness becomes so much clean conscious that internal cleanliness of remembering Krishna. Prabhupada writes internal cleanliness is about remembering, thinking about Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. So that external cleanliness is coming on the way of thinking of Krishna. So then the purpose of cleanliness is lost. Prabhupada writes in the purport of cleanliness, Sausham 13.8. So external cleanliness is about taking bath, washing clothes, all those things fresh. But internal cleanliness is about thinking Krishna. So this kind of highlight externally also should be clean, and also internally also should be trying to be clean by trying to think of Krishna. Therefore, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That is the principle. I think Karuna Radhika Mati has some question regarding this.
I was just saying for Mataji only, if it prevents you to go to the dham because there is no flight and you can't take a train, I think that is not okay. But if there's a facility for both, then I think you can go, right?
Therefore, I'm telling the same thing, that cleanliness means internal cleanliness also, not just external cleanliness.
So wherever it's possible, you can use the facility. If it is not, then you should not think too much.
We should cross that barrier and we should be ready to go. And what happens is, if you accept that, then it's like, it's the same thing: denial, anger, bargain, or depression, and then you accept it. So this is the same thing. This human psychology goes through the same phase. So all of us have to go through the same phase. For some it is some other thing. For us it is something. This is the same phase. Imagine someone fine day you have to go to yatra in the train. You deny it. You become angry on someone, and it's like bargain. No, can I go? Can I go?
I'll take Mataji in the sleeper coach next time.
Mataji, I'll not eat food in the train so that I don't have to use the washroom.
Yeah, I understand. It is, and most of the devotees are like that. Not only you, Mataji. Many of my relatives are like that. Yes.
I just wanted to confirm that this is normal.
This is not this is normal in the sense that there are some people like this in this world, but it is not normal in the sense that it will come in the path of practicing of
Yes, that I understood.
Yes, this
It
is
should not come. It should not come in the path of it.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Dasraj Koi Prabhu, I think within next 3 sessions or session will end. So next session will complete 13, 14, and then 15, 16, 17, 18. 3 sessions.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Next Friday, the next Monday, the next Friday.
Yes.
So 19th. So what is the date coming to be?
19th, Prabhuji.
So this is 31st, 4th.
Oh, your session's ending. Okay.
7th and 11th. So 14th onwards, your next thing can start. Monday, 14th. Yes.
I've actually called His Grace Anantagopa Prabhu today to work with him on the next schedule and the revised dates for exams. I get to hear from him. So probably we will have all those things. I'm working with him.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you for extended
Hare
attendance. Hare Krishna. So we'll meet next on Friday.
Thank you very much.
Prabhu.